Om Akhandam Satchidanandam Avang Manasagocharam Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashraye Bhishta Siddhai. I take refuge in the self, the indivisible, the existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute, beyond the reach of words and thought, and the substratum of all, for the attainment of my cherished desire. So, Vedantasara, and it's reached a very crucial part where we are trying to understand the statement that thou art, Tat Twam Asi. In fact, this is the very heart of Advaita Vedanta. If you want to express Advaita Vedanta in one sentence, it would be this, one of the Mahavakyas, that thou art. Sentences which express the identity of Jiva and Brahman, of the individual and the absolute. The meaning is not straightforward, actually. As we have seen, it has to go through three stages. We have to process this sentence that thou art through three stages, which are basically three relationships. If you recall, the three relationships are Samanadhikaranyam, Visheshana Visheshya Bhava, and Lakshya Lakshana Bhava. The first one, Samanadhikaranyam, is a relationship between the words of a sentence. So all the words, are they all related to, do they refer to one thing, or do they refer to different things? And we have decided that all the words in the sentence, that thou art, it's one of those unusual sentences where all the words, they're different words, but they all point to one reality. Then next, in such cases, we go to the second stage to find out the meaning of the sentence. The second stage is the adjectival relationship, Visheshana Visheshya Bhava. Usually when words in the sentence refer to one object, they're usually related as adjective and noun. The second relationship, Visheshana Visheshya Bhava, is between the words of the sentence and the object, pada and artha. So between the words of the sentence, that is that and thou. So for example, the phrase blue lotus. So blue and lotus both refer to the same thing, that blue flower, but they are related as a property and a substance, a color and a flower. So the color inheres or is in that flower, and that's usually how such sentences go. But we saw last time we ran into trouble doing that, because the individual is not an attribute or an adjective to God, to Saguna Brahman, and the opposite is just impossible. God cannot be an attribute of an individual. So just like blue lotus, if you say blue lotus, blue is an attribute of the lotus, that's perfectly all right, and we come across so many such examples. But that's not like that thou art. You are not an attribute of the absolute. The absolute obviously are of God. You are not an attribute of God, and God is obviously not an attribute of you, the individual. But the way we use that step, it's not entirely useless for us. What it does is it excludes. In the sense, when you say blue lotus, for example, the word blue excludes all other kinds of all other colors. It's not a yellow lotus, it's not a white lotus, red lotus. All other colors are excluded the moment you say blue. And the moment you say lotus, all other blue objects are excluded. The blue sky, a blue shirt, or a blue pen, all those are excluded. You mean only the blue lotus. So you see how these two terms, they come together to point to one specific object. In the same way, we are using that and thou to exclude every other possibility. For example, for what we are trying to say is that thou art means you are Brahman. That means you are not anything else except Brahman. You are not a body, you are not this limited individual. The meaning of the sentence is you are Brahman. And the opposite is also true. Brahman is you. Brahman, by Brahman, we don't mean Shiva or Kali or Durga, in case you're thinking of them as gods different from you, not in that sense. Brahman means only you. You means Brahman, Brahman means you. So we have used it in that sense. The second relationship, which is Visheshana Visheshya Bhava. Now, the problem still remains. The problem is this. At this stage, what the problem we have right now is, yes, the sentence means you are nothing but Brahman and Brahman is nothing but you. Fine. But still, the meaning does not emerge. We don't get at the meaning of it. It's still impossible. How can you, the individual being, this little limited human being, how can you be Saguna Brahman? Saguna Brahman, Brahman is God, all powerful, all knowing, not only that, God is something that we do not directly experience, and you experience your own existence directly. In Sanskrit, paroksha paroksha. God is all-knowing, sarvagya. You, the individual being, you have very little knowledge, alpagya. God is all-powerful, sarvashaktiman in Sanskrit. You, the individual being, we have so little power, so little ability, alpashaktiman, and so on. So how can, even saying that you are nothing but God and God is nothing but you, what does it mean? How are you nothing but God? How am I nothing but God? And how is God nothing but me? What exactly does it mean? What are you referring to? When you say blue lotus, it's pretty clear what you're referring to. No other lotus except the blue one, and no other blue object except the lotus. Yes, the meaning is, it fits. And you can easily bring me say, here, Swami, here is the blue lotus. But what do you mean when you say you are nothing but God and God is nothing but you? What exactly are you referring to? What is the entity? What is the reality you're talking about? And can you see how contradictory it is? So we need one more step to find out the meaning of the sentence, that thou art. The third relationship is called Lakshya Lakshana Bhava, basically implied meaning. So it's a relationship, and relationship always means a relationship between two or more entities. So at least two entities. So what is the relationship here? It's the relationship between the sentence that thou art and the entity referred to by it, the meaning of that sentence. Vakya and Vakyartha. The Vakya means sentence, and Artha means the reality or the object referred to by it. This is the relationship. It's an implied meaning, not a direct meaning. Why? Why not a direct? What do I mean by direct meaning and implied meaning? Right. So what do I mean by direct meaning and implied meaning? Direct meaning is the straightforward dictionary meaning. When you take a word, look at the dictionary, what does it mean? God. Okay, so look at the dictionary, the creator of the universe, individual human being, this limited creature. How can they be the same? You don't, clearly the dictionary meanings don't fit. So when dictionary meanings, the direct meaning does not fit, you look for an implied meaning. Why do you look for that? You've made up your mind that the sentence is sensible. The person who's speaking is not speaking nonsense, is not just, saying contradictory things. If it is a meaningful sentence and the meaning is not emerging with the direct meaning, you take an implied meaning. Take some other meaning, and we'll see what kind of implied meaning is available to us. And we will see. We do it all the time in life. When we want to understand what somebody else is saying, we take the direct meaning is not fitting, is not appropriate, we take an implied meaning and we think that, right, that person means this. All right, so this is the third stage. And at this stage, the meaning of the sentence, that thou art, will emerge. Tat Twam Asi will emerge. Before we dive into it, I'll tell you briefly what's going to happen, and then we take a look and it will be easy to follow. And this is I promise you, the final stage of analysis of that thou art. But we are not finished yet. After this, there is Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. So a different issue will be taken up when we take up that sentence. But that thou art, this is the final stage of analysis. And what's going to happen? We're going to look for a way to make things fit. So how do we do that? We look for implied meaning. Now, there are varieties of ways of finding implied meaning. We will look at 3 of them. Reject 2 of them because they won't fit, and then finally find 1 which will fit. 3 what? 3 ways of finding implied meaning, 3 techniques of finding implied meaning. 2 won't work, 3rd one will work. The first one is called is called Jahad Lakshana. Jahad Lakshana means implied meaning by letting go of the original meaning. The second one we will take up is called Ajahad Lakshana, which means implied meaning by adding something to the original meaning. And the third one, which we will find working for us, is called Jahad Ajahad Lakshana, which means leaving out a part of the original meaning and retaining a part of the original meaning. Then we will find the real implied meaning. There are three options available to us. You let go of the original meaning, which is not fitting, and find something else which works. I know this might sound a little abstract. What am I talking about? Well, when we dive into it, it'll become very clear. It's very simple, and it's something that we do all the time in day to day. When we talk with each other, we do it without thinking twice about it. The second one is called Ajahad Lakshana. When you find an implied meaning without letting go of the original meaning, you add something to it, and then it makes sense. And then the third one is you let go a part of the meaning, retain a part of the original meaning, and then it makes sense. Fine. Now, let me see. The first one will be the Jahad Lakshana, where you let go of part of the meaning. And the example they will give is Gangayam Ghoshaha. This is a classical example, classical Sanskrit example. It simply means the neighborhood or the colony of the milkmen is on the Ganga. It just basically says where the dairy farmers, where they stay, that place is on the Ganga, river Ganga. Obviously it doesn't fit because you can't have people staying on the river. It obviously means on the bank of the river. And that's a common way of putting it, like where is Shakespeare's house? Stratford on Avon? Yes. It can't be on a river, but it just means on the bank of the river. For example, when Swami Vivekananda's in early letters, it used to say Belur on Ganges. So the main monastery is Belur Mutt, and on Ganges. It's on the bank of the river Ganga. And that's an accepted usage. But you say it's on the river, but it's not literally on the river. You mean on the bank of the river. And you don't have to say it, spell it out. I'm writing from Manhattan on the bank of the Hudson. No, I'm writing from Manhattan on the Hudson. But that doesn't literally mean like that plane which was floating on the Hudson River a few years back. It's not like that you're literally on the river, but you're on the bank of the river. So that's one meaning. And we will try it out. Does it work? In that case, you let go of the original meaning. What was the original meaning? River. River means this body of water. You let go of that meaning and find out a proximate meaning, which is the bank of the river. And does it fit? Can a community of people stay on a bank of a river? Of course they can. So we settle for that meaning. When you said, these people stay on the river Ganga, we understand. We don't take the literal meaning. We understand they are staying on the bank of Ganga, not on the river Ganga. Will it fit here? We will see it won't fit. Why not? We'll see there. And fit here means in the case of that thou art. This won't work. You can't let go of the meaning of that or thou and then get some other meaning and then it'll fit. No, it won't. Then the second option which will be offered to us is don't let go of the original meaning, but add something to it, it'll work. And the example they use is Shona Dhavati. Red is running. The red is running, it literally means the red horse is running. So I think they were big on betting on horses even in those days. So look, the red one is running. The red horse is racing well. Shona Dhavati. The red is racing. Now, what you mean to say, red or brown horse? So what you mean to say is the brown horse. You have to supply one more thing for the sentence to make sense. I'm sure those who are aficionados of horse racing, they have no problem. But others might be puzzled. What do you mean that brown is running? Or is the brown color running or somewhere or something? No, it's the horse, brown horse. You supply one more word, then the sentence makes perfect sense. Brown horse is running or red horse is running. Can you do that here? Can you supply something to that thou art and it will make sense? We'll see that it won't. Nothing like that works. Finally, we go to the third kind of implied meaning, which is which is you retain a part of the original meaning and let go of the part of the original meaning, and then you see it will work. An example given there is, this is that Devadatta. This is a classic example we have been using again and again. You see Devadatta, this guy whom you had seen long time ago in a different city, and you see him now, and you immediately recognize this is that Devadatta. What are you doing? You are letting go of the contradictory aspects, past and present, in Mumbai and in New Jersey, and the young man and this middle-aged man, and the fit person and this obese person. You let go of the fitness and obesity. They're contradictory. A person cannot be in Mumbai and New Jersey at the same time. A person cannot be past and present together. You let go of those things. You just mean the person. If you literally see this is that Devadatta is contradictory. How can the past and the present be together? How can the young and the old be together? How can the fit and the not so fit be together? No, they can't be. But you don't mean all that. When you say this is that, I just recognize the same person. That's all we do. And it's a very common way of speaking. Another example would be, I bought a mango, I ate a mango. I bought a mango, I ate the mango. When you say I bought a mango, you mean the whole mango, the skin and the big seed inside, and of course the edible portion, the whole thing. But when you say I ate the mango, you mean only the edible portion. You don't mean that you ate the skin or the big seed inside. But you're using the same word, mango. And everybody understands that you bought the whole mango, but you ate the edible portion of it. Nobody has to ask for any further clarification. I took a bath in a monastery. We used to go and take a dip in the river Ganga. So when I say the Ganga, I took a dip in the river Ganga. If you look at the dictionary, the river Ganga, it means the body of water flowing from the Himalayas in the glacier and to the Bay of Bengal. So did you swim all the way from the Himalayas to the Bay of Bengal? No, you didn't. You just took a little dip in the Ganga from the monastery, right on the bank of the Ganga. So that's what you did. So everybody understands. You leave out the unnecessary portions. You just take that much meaning, and it's a perfectly common way of speaking. How does that help us? When you take that thou art, you leave out the contradictory portions. You leave out that God is all powerful, you are less powerful. You leave out God is all knowing and you are little knowing. God is pervading the entire universe and you are just in this tiny body. You leave all that out and you take the one consciousness behind God and yourself. The one pure consciousness, not the body, not the mind, the witness consciousness, which is the same in you and the same in God, that I am, that one light shining through you. That in that place, you and God are the same reality. And you can do that. Why can you do that? We'll see when we come to it. So that will be the final meaning of that thou art. I am that Nirguna Brahman, and Saguna Brahman. God is also that Nirguna Brahman. That thou art. Thou means, really speaking, if you leave out all the unnecessary parts, the contradictory parts, you will be reduced to the impersonal Brahman, Nirguna Brahman, pure consciousness. That, if you leave out Maya and all the powers given by Maya to consciousness, you will get only that pure consciousness. And then they are one and the same. The Nirguna Brahman, you are Nirguna Brahman, and God, Saguna Brahman, is also actually Nirguna Brahman in reality. And that we can do because the world is an appearance. You will see why the importance of Jagat Mithyatvam, the falsity of the world, it becomes overwhelmingly important at that time. And we'll also tie together at that point all that we learned in the past few months. How does all that help? The five elements and Maya and Avidya and the five the sheets of the human personality, all those things which we learned, all of it will be tied together at the third level. And we'll see why we needed to know all that. Right. This is what's going to happen now. Let me just read through. The final stage, implied meaning. Implied meaning. We are on text number 159. 159. So we need the implied meaning now. Three types of implied meaning. Let's consider the first one, which we are going to reject. Atra gangayam ghosha prativasati iti vakyavat jahad lakshana api na sangacchate. Again, in the sentence that thou art, or thou art that, Jahad Lakshana is not admissible, as in the sentence, the cowherd village is literally in the Ganga. So it might have been incomprehensible if you read it directly, but with the introduction, which background I gave, you see it. Yeah, it's pretty simple. When you say, okay, let me read through it, it will make sense. What about the cowherd village in the Ganga? What about it? Tatra tu, next text. Tatra tu Ganga ghoshayor adharadheya bhava lakshanasya vakyarthasya asheshato viruddhatvat vakyartham asheshata parityajya tat sambandhi tira lakshanaya yuktatvat jahad lakshana sangachate. In that sentence, as it is altogether absurd to construe the words Ganga and cowherd village literally in the sense of container and contained respectively, that meaning of the sentence must be entirely abandoned, and it should refer by implication to the bank of the Ganga. Hence, in this case, the application of Jahad Lakshana is admissible. Is it making sense? That when you say the cowherd village or the neighborhood of the cowherds, it's in the Ganga. That's the literal meaning of the sentence. Immediately we realize that's not possible. How can people stay in the Ganga? And so we immediately, instinctively, we take the implied meaning. What do we say? Oh, you mean on the bank of the Ganga. On the bank of the Ganga. I can say that. My main monastery is in the Ganga or is on the Ganga. You mean on the bank of the Ganga? Yes, everybody understands that. How did you do that? What technique did you use? Why do you at all have to use a technique? Because notice, you are changing the meaning. I'm saying it's on Belur, on Ganga, on Ganges, Stratford, on Avon, Manhattan, on Hudson. If you take the literal meaning, it doesn't make sense. You automatically take the implied meaning. It's on the bank of the Hudson, on the bank of the Avon, or the bank of the Ganga. So that implied meaning is called Jahad Lakshana, letting go. Jahad means letting go of the original meaning. Why did you let go of the original meaning? Because the original meaning that the people are staying in the river or on the river doesn't make sense. And therefore, we took a meaning. What kind of meaning? Something that's reasonable. You can't say they stay on the Ganga and then you can't take an implied meaning by saying, oh, they stay on the bank of the Yamuna. No, that's not possible. You should take some kind of reasonable meaning, that these people, if you say on the Ganga, means on the bank of the river Ganga, not some other river or somewhere else. Don't stretch it too far. It implies that you are staying somewhere else. No. But this will not work for us. That thou art is not a sentence like the cowherd village is on the Ganga. It's not a sentence like that. It's a different kind of sentence. Look at text number 161. Atra tu paroksha chaitanya ekatva lakshanasya vakyarthasya bhagamatri virodhat bhagantaram api parityajya anya lakshanaya ayuktatva jahat lakshana na sangachyate. But this sentence, thou art that, meaning the identity of consciousness characterized by immediacy or remoteness, involves contradiction in one part only. Therefore, it's not proper to abandon the other part as well and indicate something else by implication, Lakshana. Hence, in this case, Jahad Lakshana is not admissible. See, it's pretty simple. When you say that thou art, what is that and what is thou? That is consciousness associated with Maya, which is what we call God, Saguna Brahman. What is thou? It's consciousness limited by one individual ignorance, Ajnana, us. Ignorance and then the mind and the body, us. And the two don't fit. They are not equal to each other. But notice, it's not that they're completely opposed to each other. There is one place where they fit. Both are the same consciousness. It's the same consciousness. Now, Jahad Lakshana demands that you let go of the entire meaning, consciousness plus whatever it is, and then take some other meaning. No, you don't need to do that. You need to let go of only the contradictory parts. You don't need to let go of the entire meaning, that let go of consciousness also. No. That means consciousness plus Maya or limited by Maya. This, thou, means consciousness, same consciousness, limited by one part of Maya, Ajnana. The contradiction is caused by Maya and Ajnana, by Maya and individual ignorance. And there is no contradiction in consciousness as such. It is the same thing. So it does not make sense to let go of the entire meaning when the contradiction is only in a part. Now, if you look at what is being said, atratu, in this case, I'm looking at this Sanskrit. Atratu, in this case, which case? That thou art. So tatratu means in that case. In that case means the village of the cowherds is on the Ganga. In that case, it worked. In this case, so you have to understand what is being meant by that and this. This case means the sentence which we are trying to understand. In this case, Tat Twam Asi, that thou art. The contradiction is paroksha aparoksha chaitanya. Paroksha chaitanya, aparoksha chaitanya. Aparoksha chaitanya means directly experienced awareness. What is the directly experienced awareness? Where do you directly experience awareness? In yourself. Where else? The directly experienced awareness is my own individual awareness, the jiva, the sentient being. And what we are talking about, God, is paroksha chaitanya, is a consciousness characterized by maya, is indirect. It's something that I have read about, something that people have told me exists. I have no direct experience of such a reality. How can the two be the same thing? That which is directly experienced by me, what is that? My own existence, my own awareness. That which is not directly experienced at all, it's something I just believe in it. That is God. How can the two be the same? So this is, he says, Bhaga matra virodhat. At this level, there is a contradiction. Truly, he says, Bhaga matra virodhat. There is a contradiction between God and the individual. They can't be the same thing. Because of that, bhagantaram api parityajya. You are saying that you have to give up the part where there is no contradiction also, because the method is to give up the original meaning and take a new meaning. You are saying that you have to give up the other part also where there is no contradiction. What is the other part? Consciousness part. These are not actually parts, we're just analyzing it from the semantic point of view. Do you have to give up the consciousness part also? No. Why should you do that? So it does not, he says, ayuktatvat, it's unreasonable. Jahad Lakshana na sangachyate. Because it's unreasonable, we can't use this method of giving up the entire meaning. There is no contradiction in the entire meaning. There is a contradiction only in a part of the meaning. So that method of giving up the entire meaning, it won't work for that thou art, Tat Twam Asi. What else is on offer? Or before we go to the next method, there is somebody who's trying to push this method on us. That look, we can make it work for you. There's some good salesman for Jahad Lakshana who's going to come and say, this method will work for you. Look, I'm going to make it work for you. How? So this is an unnecessary wrinkle, an unnecessary complication. Not necessary, but anyway, he has given it, so we'll read through it. I'm on text 162. Nacha gangapadam swartha parityagena tira padatham yatha lakshayati tatha tatpadam tvangpadam va swartha parityagena tvangpadartham tatpadartham va lakshayatu atha kuta jahad lakshana na sangachyate iti vachyam. He said, this salesman who is trying to sell this method to us, he is saying that, look, why don't you look at it this way? Just as the word Ganga, we gave up the meaning of the river and we took the implied meaning, the bank of Ganga. So why don't you do it like this? That and thou means you, the individual being. Let it give up its original meaning and mean that God. Or the other way around, let God give up its original meaning and mean the individual you, and then it'll work, it'll fit. But that's obviously ridiculous. What does it mean? How can, as I said, implied meaning has to be reasonable. If you say that thou art, what he's proposing? He says, let's look at it this way. Just as the village of cowherds is on the Ganga, you change the meaning of Ganga to bank of Ganga. You totally gave up the meaning of Ganga and made it the bank of Ganga. Similarly, to make that and thou equal, let's take the word thou, you, and what is its meaning? You, the person. Let's give up that meaning and let you mean God. So you means God and that means God, then the two are equal. Or the other way around, let's take the word that, which means God, let's give up that meaning and let's take an implied meaning, let it mean you, the individual. So that means you, the individual, and you means you, the individual, so they are equal. That's ridiculous. You can't do that, and that's not permissible, and it doesn't mean anything at all. If it will just mean me, I am I, this person. Where does that get me? So here's an objection. We are rejecting that. We are saying that no, we don't want it. It won't work. Text number 163. Tatra tirapada ashravanena. You see why this is going on? I mean, on the face of it, it is useless. It is a silly suggestion. But from a semantic point of view, there are good arguments why you can push this kind of an argument. So that has to be rejected with solid reasons for why we are rejecting. Now you see the reasons he's giving. Tatra tirapada ashravanena tadartha pratito lakshanaya tat pratiti apekshayamapi tat tvam padayoho shruyamanatvena tadartha pratito lakshanaya punar anyatara padena anyatara padartha pratityapeksha bhavat. In that sentence, the word bank is not mentioned, and therefore the meaning which is not explicit can only be derived through implication, Lakshana. But in the other sentence, thou art that, the words that and thou are mentioned, and their meanings are explicit. Therefore, it's not proper to use a Lakshana here in order to indicate through either of them the sense of the other, thou art that. What does it mean? You have to give a reasonable answer to them. I mean, in a which satisfies them technically. You can't say it's ridiculous to think that thou is equal to God or God is equal to you, and take a implied meaning in that way. You know what they will reply to that is that you already made up your mind, which we have in sort of way, but is that you have already made up your mind that you are God. That's what it means, and that's why you're rejecting our proposition. It could mean, who knows? In the Chandogya Upanishad, it could mean literally. It could mean you are you or God is God, something like that. So why are you rejecting it? Give us a technical reason for not applying what I'm saying. So here's the technical reason. In that sentence, Gangayam Ghosha, the meaning which you want, the bank of the river, is not mentioned. Only river is mentioned. Ganga and the community, the village of the cowherds is mentioned. Now you want, what is the meaning that you want? The bank of the river, not mentioned in the original sentence. Then you need an implied meaning to get that meaning of the bank. Here in this sentence, that and thou are explicitly mentioned. That thou art. You don't need to go around, like do a roundabout thing and get an implied meaning to make that imply thou or thou imply that, because the words are already there. And the rule is, which everybody accepts, you never use implied meaning techniques to find out something which is already mentioned. If it's already there, you don't have to go on and take an implied meaning to mean it. So we can't do that, what you are suggesting. All right. What else is on offer? The second method, where you do not give up the original meaning, but you add something to the original meaning and then the sentence makes sense. Example, the red is running, by which you mean, if you add the word horse, then the sentence makes perfect sense. The red horse is running. So can we add something to that thou art to make perfect sense? Atra shono dhavati iti vakyavad jahad lakshana api na sambhavati. Here, so now is Ajahad Lakshana applicable in this sentence, as in the sentence the red color is running. So atra shona dhavati iti vakyavad Ajahad Lakshana api na sambhavati. Atra means here, shona dhavati, shona means red or brown, dhavati running, iti vakyavad, a sentence like this, Ajahad Lakshana, implied meaning without giving up the original meaning. This is not possible for that thou art. Why not? Because he'll explain in the next text. Tatra shona guna gamana lakshanasya vakyarthasya viruddhatvat tat parityagena tad aparityagena tad ashraya ashwadi lakshanaya tad virodha parihara sambhavad ajahad lakshana sambhavati. The literal meaning of that sentence, namely the running of red color, is absurd. In English, it's not absurd. When you say the red color is running, it makes some sense because you feel like a surface, like a like a wall or somewhere, and the color is wet, and it's like rain or something, and the color starts running. So that's the English expression. But literally, a color can't run in that sense. So the literal meaning of the sentence, namely the running of red color, is absurd. This absurdity can be removed without abandoning the meaning of the word red. Red color means red color. We're not disturbing that. By interpreting it to imply a horse of that color, you add something else, red horse or car or something, then the whole sentence makes sense. You don't let go of the meaning of red. Keep the meaning of red, but to make sense of the whole sentence, you add something, horse, red horse. Then it works. Therefore, in this case, Ajahad Lakshana is admissible. In which case? In the case of red is running. Fine. You add something, it works. But it will not work for that thou art. Why not? 166. Atra tu parokshatva parokshatvadi vishishta chaitanya ekatvasya vakyarthasya viruddhatvat tad aparityagena tat sambandhino yasya kasyachid arthasya lakshitatve api tad virodha parihara sambhavad ajahad lakshana na sambhavatyeva. But here, in the sentence that thou art that, the literal meaning, conveying an identical consciousness associated with remoteness, immediacy, etc., is self-contradictory. If without abandoning this meaning, any other idea connected with it is implied, still the contradiction will not be reconciled. Therefore, in this case, Ajahad Lakshana is inadmissible. So what is the problem here? When you say that thou art, literally, you are God. That means the creator of the universe, and you means this individual person I'm addressing. You are God. It's literally contradictory. As we said, many contradictions are there. God is all powerful. We have very little power. God is all pervading. We are tiny. God is all knowing. We know very little. And God is something beyond our experience. We believe in it, think about it, read about it, but we are very much within our own experience. The first thing we experience is ourselves. Experienced, not experienced, little power, extraordinary power, little knowledge, and all knowing. Total contradiction. Now, in order to resolve this contradiction, whatever you add without letting go of the contradictions, the contradiction will remain. You see, what will happen is, if you add something, whatever you add, the contradiction still remains. You have to let go of the contradiction. You have to resolve the contradiction somehow. Then only identity is possible. No matter what you keep adding, the problem remains unless you're dealing with the problem of contradiction. It's like that example I mentioned, I think, last week. This couple were going to a party, and the wife said to the husband that, "What's that awful smell? You change your socks." And then they go to the party, and then the wife, she comes up and whispers to the husband, "I told you to change the socks. It's that awful smell." The husband said, "But I did. I put on fresh socks. But how is that smell still coming?" So those old ones, I put them in my pocket. So if you don't let go of the problem, you have to keep the old ones at home and put on the fresh ones. Then only the smell is taken care of. But if you don't let go of the problem and you keep adding new things, no matter what you keep adding, the contradiction between God and individual remains. See, these are not as abstract as they sound. For example, when you're talking about Advaita Vedanta, what are the common questions that you face? One question will be, how is it that how can there be devotion in Advaita Vedanta? If you are God, then whom are you bowing down to? You see, the whole problem is people are taking it literally. You are God, that thou art, and you bow down to God. The two yous are different. In one, there's an implied meaning, which is going to come. In the other one, there's no implied meaning, direct meaning. If there's a direct meaning, you are this individual being and God is God, of course you will bow down to God, you will worship God, you will believe in God or disbelieve in God. All these are possible. But you are, in no case is it possible, you are God, literally. So most of the times when people, they make this mistake. When the people say that, Advaita says, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, but in what sense? So that sense is being extracted now. So these are, actually, it is, without this, you cannot really understand what Advaita Vedanta is saying. These are not just theoretical exercises. So we have to see what it points to. And it's very useful for spiritual practice. In Advaita Vedanta, this exercise is absolutely essential. Otherwise, we won't know what you're talking about. Yeah. All the charges against Advaita Vedanta, this is blasphemy. All the dualistic religions. In Hinduism, the Madhva school, the Vishishtadvaita school of Vedanta, which are bhakti schools, devotional schools, their main enemy was the non-dualist, the Advaitin. Why? Because you are saying you are one with God, you are one with Vishnu or Narayana. What a blasphemy. And there, Madhvacharya has verses on this, that you little insect, you are saying you are one with the mighty Lord of the universe. How can you even think of, how can you even dream of making such a blasphemous statement? And it's true. If you literally take that and thou to be one and the same, it's true, it's blasphemous. How can it be so? But that's not what it means, not at all so. I think I mentioned it, an interesting experience which I had last year, that a couple of scientists from MIT, they wanted to come and say that we want to ask you some questions. When I was at Harvard, so they wanted to come, and so I said, all right, let's come meet at the library. And we came, and Lamont Library was very busy, a lot of students. So they said, let's go to our lab in MIT, and we'll get a lot of, it's empty, so we can talk there. This was, of course, way before the pandemic. So two scientists. And I said, that's great. I haven't seen MIT, so let's go. So we'll go to the lab, and we'll ask you the question. When they said, oh, you haven't seen MIT, then we'll take you on a tour. And that was one of the most amazing evenings of my life. They took me on a tour of one site. If it's not top secret, at least it's semi-secret. I mean, the public is not allowed in, but they have their cards and they can swipe and they can get in. Many people in Boston don't know they're sitting on a fusion reactor. There are 3 of those in the world. One is in Boston, where they're trying to harness the power of the sun. If you Google it, it's there. You will find it there, the fusion reactor in Boston. And that reactor is powered by a nuclear reactor, a fission reactor. That's also there in Boston. It's all underground. And we went in there, a massive, huge facility. I'm not sure if I should be talking about it. I took just one picture in a classroom, but not outside. So it's an amazing, something out of a science fiction movie. Just barrels there. And I thought, what's this? Some kind of waste? So yes, that's atomic waste. It's radioactive. Don't go near it. Just like that, it's there. So an amazing facility. And they took me to a classroom where the scientists meet to discuss problems. So it was empty. It's a very big, simple classroom, but very big and completely empty. So I went there, and then they asked me, this is the question. How is it possible to have devotion and knowledge together in Advaita Vedanta? If you are Brahman, then how can you have devotion for God? How did Shankara say that I am Brahman, at the same time write all these devotional hymns? So the same question, you see. So I said, can I use this blackboard? I wanted to write on that same blackboard which these scientists are working on. So I explained all this, what we are doing right now, just the outlines of it. I've been drawing diagrams and all, and that picture is there with me. One of them took the picture there. So it's a question that many people have. Devotion and knowledge, how does it go together? And this analysis actually answers all of that. All right. The literal meaning of the sentence is that, did we read text number 166? Yes. So in text number 166, what has been said is, in this sentence, that thou art, the contradictions are there. Without resolving these contradictions, no matter what you add, Kasyachid, yasya kasyachid arthasya lakshana. Whatever meaning you imply and you import it, like the horse, red horse, you import whatever meaning, nothing will work because the contradiction will remain. God and individual are not the same. Again, there is a salesman who is trying to push this Ajahad Lakshana, and that will not work. I'll just quickly read through it to get to the crux of it. I want to finish this today. 167. And what's going to happen now? Somebody is trying to push this Ajahad Lakshana upon us. That no, you try it in this way. You add this, see, it'll work. 167. Nacha tatpadam twangpadam va swartha viruddhangsha parityagena अंशांतर सहितं त्वं पदार्थं तत्पदार्थं वा लक्षयतु अतः कथं प्रकारांतरेण भागलक्षणांगीकरणम् इति वाच्यम्. You can't say this, we are saying to that person. You can't say that either of the words that or thou may exclude the portion of its meaning which conflicts with the other word and imply a combination of the other portion with the meaning of the other word. Therefore, no reason, no necessity arises of admitting Bhaga Lakshana. Bhaga Lakshana is the one which we are going to take up at the end, which we are going to accept. So he's trying to prevent us from doing that. It won't work. It's just a way of trying to force us to accept the contradiction, saying that just make, that and thou. So you are saying it's contradictory. Yes, it's obviously contradictory. Let the meaning of thou, let it give up its contradictory portions and combine with the meaning of that, and so that you take just consciousness. You are consciousness. Give up the that you're less powerful. You're just an individual being, body, mind. Give that up, and just concentrate on the consciousness part of it, and that's how you are one with God. God with all the powers, and that doesn't work. If you give up the contradictory parts on this side, you have to give up the contradictory parts on that side. You can't just combine a part of the jiva with the all of God, or a part of God with all of jiva. Again, it's impossible. 168. Ekena padena swarthangsha padarthantara swartha angsha padartha antara ubhaya lakshanaya asambhavatvat padantarena tadartha pratito lakshanaya punastat pratiti apeksha abhavacha. Why not? Why don't we accept that offer? Because it's impossible to conceive the same word as indicating a part of its own meaning as well as the meaning of another word. Moreover, when this meaning is directly expressed by the other word, it does not require the application of Lakshana and the first word to indicate it. More or less the same kind of objection which we had to the offer in the earlier case. You don't use implied meaning when the words are already there. You can't use implied meaning to make a part of the meaning of thou imply that, or a part of the meaning of that imply thou, because that and thou are already mentioned. You can't use implied meaning for that. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry. It's not important. I don't even know why he added this extra complication. But the real point of this entire exercise is now in text number 169. So you pay attention to this, things will be clear. 169. Tasmad yatha soyam devadatta iti vakyam tadartho va tatkala vishishta devadatta lakshanasya vakyarthasya ankshe virodhat viruddha tatkala vishishtangshan parityajya aviruddham devadattangsha matram lakshayati tatha tat twam asi iti vakyam tadartho va परोक्षत्व अपरोक्षत्वादि विशिष्ट चैतन्य एकत्व लक्षणस्य वाक्यार्थस्यांशे विरोधात् विरुद्ध परोक्षत्व अपरोक्षत्व विशिष्टांशं परित्यज्य अविरुद्धम अखंड चैतन्य मात्रम लक्षयति इति. Therefore, as the sentence "this is that Devadatta" or its meaning, on account of the contradictions involved in one part of the import, namely Devadatta as existing in the past and in the present, implies by abandoning the conflicting portions which has reference to time, only the non-conflicting portion, namely the man Devadatta. Similarly, the sentence, thou art that, or its meaning, on account of the contradictions involved in one part of their import, namely consciousness characterized by remoteness and immediacy, implies by abandoning the conflicting portion which has relations to remoteness, immediacy, etc., only absolute pure consciousness, which is common to both thou and that. Thou and that. If you read it like that, it might sound like, what are they saying? Sounds like absolute gibberish. But it's actually pretty simple. It says, take the example. We're going to try a third method of trying to find out the meaning of that thou art. So far, we have failed. We have failed in the first attempt where we give up the original meaning and take some other implied meaning. Doesn't work. We fail in the second attempt where we keep the original meaning and add something like a red horse, add horse, and that also failed. Now we are trying another technique in which a part of the meaning is given up and a part of the meaning is retained. Then we get an implied meaning which works. Example, give us an example. That example of recognition. This is that Devadatta. Now look at that sentence carefully. This Devadatta and that Devadatta, they are actually contradictory in part. What parts are contradictory? That Devadatta was in the past. This Devadatta is in the present. Present and past are contradictory. That Devadatta was young. This Devadatta is old. Old and young are contradictory. You can't affirm both at the same time of same person. You can't be a present past person, young old person. They're contradictory. You can't have both of them together. That Devadatta was young, was fit. This Devadatta is overweight. You can't have them both together. You can't be a fit and overweight person at the same time. So these are contradictory parts. And yet, the amazing thing is we don't say it's a meaningless sentence. We immediately understand when somebody says, this is that person. We immediately understand. We understand that you are not, you don't mean the contradictory portions. You just mean the person is the same. You just mean, you are implying, the implied meaning of your statement is, it is that same person. You have given up the contradictory portions and you have retained only the portion which is common. What is common to that Devadatta and this Devadatta? Just the person Devadatta, not the incidental characteristics of past and present, young and old, fit and overweight. Those things you can ignore and you can quite reasonably say, it's the same person. Exactly like that. When you say that thou art, there are contradictions. All powerful and little powerful. I know myself directly. God is something I only is indirect. I believe in it, and or I don't believe in it, whatever. God is, if God exists, is all pervading. I am limited, and so on. All these contradictions. What we are being asked to understand is, ignoring these contradictions, underlying both is the same absolute consciousness, one pure consciousness. Which is this pure consciousness? Which is where we started the entire journey. Vastu Satchidanandam Advayam Brahma. There is only one reality, the non-dual existence, consciousness, bliss. That consciousness is common to both. And that is what is meant by that thou art. By that thou art, we don't mean God, we don't mean you as an individual, but we mean the essence of God and the essence of you, one and the same. The real you and the reality of God is one and the same reality. I mean, I can't put it more beautifully than Meister Eckhart, the great German medieval theologian, who said, the ground of God and the ground of my soul are one and the same. It's a Mahavakya, it's the implied meaning. This is called Jahad, Ajahad Lakshana, or Bhaga Tyaga Lakshana, or Bhaga Lakshana. They all mean the same thing. Lakshana, implied meaning. Jahad, Ajahad, giving up, not giving up. Bhaga Tyaga, giving up partially. Bhaga, partially. All of them mean the same thing. We have applied that method here. And that's the method that Meister Eckhart applies. That's the method that the great Sufi mystic, who says, when I searched for Allah, I found myself. When I searched for myself, who am I? I found Allah. What does it mean? Literally, it must be that the underlying reality must be one reality. It must be the exactly same reality, but ignoring the contradictory aspects of it. Now you might say, how do you ignore the contradictory aspects? You can only ignore the contradictory aspects if they are appearances, if they are false. If on a movie screen, you see a comedy and a tragedy, and I say comedy and tragedy are exactly the same. So how can a comedy and a tragedy be the same? What I mean is, it's the same movie screen, which you saw as a comedy, and the whole thing played out there. The same movie screen, which you saw as a tragedy, the tragic movie. None of it is real. What was always there is right now it's there, it's that movie screen. Or for example, I think I had like a paperweight. I was just thinking about this example today. So I can show you this paperweight, and so suppose it's a colorless crystal, and I've got this yellow color. Like look at how it looks now, although it's still some yellow behind it. But if I put the yellow color right there now, the crystal looks yellow, and the glass looks yellow. Now suppose I put a brown color behind it. Now the glass looks brown. If I say the brown paperweight and the yellow paperweight are exactly the same, you'd say, how can the yellow paperweight and the brown paperweight be the same? They look completely different. They're contradictory. Brown and yellow are not the same. It's because the glass in itself is neither brown nor yellow. It just looks brown in the proximity of the brown background, and it just looks yellow in the proximity of the yellow background. And this is called in Vedanta upadhi. Upadhi means that by its proximity appears to transfer its qualities on another. The yellow cloth, by its proximity, appears to transfer yellow color to the colorless glass. Appears means even when the glass looks yellow, it's not yellow. Even when the glass looks brown, it's not brown. It's just colorless glass. But it is the capacity of looking brown. It is the capacity of looking yellow. In this case, of course, you need something else from outside, a yellow cloth or a yellow or a brown background to give you this color. But in the case of consciousness, consciousness just can project. Consciousness itself, just like your own mind can project an entire dream. Consciousness, you call it the power of Maya or something. The point is, the projection does not make consciousness really into God or an individual or into a world. Consciousness appears as Jiva Jagat Ishvara, God, world, and individual. But at the same time, it just remains consciousness itself. Not one thing is different in the world, in the individual, and in God, other than that one existence consciousness place. From the perspective of reality. But from the perspective of the movie show, everything is different. That now consciousness is God, and now consciousness is me, the little fellow, and now consciousness is this huge universe. And now you can have the game of life. And yet, at no moment is any of this. I am nothing other than pure consciousness. Whatever I'm experiencing is nothing other than pure consciousness. And the God I worship is nothing other than the pure consciousness. At this time also, even when it appears to be yellow or brown. You don't actually have to remove the yellow color to appreciate its colorlessness. If you try to remove the yellow color to appreciate colorlessness, that's the path of yoga, nirvikalpa samadhi. You stop the world appearance individually for yourself to realize that you are the impersonal consciousness, an experiential thing. What Vedanta tries to do is it really, once you know that it's colorless crystal, colorless glass, plain glass, is it really necessary to take away the yellow cloth? Yeah. Is it really necessary? Will you say, I don't believe you, Swami. I think the glass is yellow. You have to take away the yellow cloth and then show me the glass is colorless, and then I'll believe you. No, you don't have to. Even when the world is appearing, even when you feel like an individual being and you feel the presence of God, you know it is one reality, existence, consciousness, bliss. What we did all those months, we started with this, and then we introduced Maya. And because of Maya, we said, this plus Maya looks yellow. And we introduced a part of Maya, a limited entity, Ajnana, and a body and a mind. We said this plus pure consciousness looks like this. Now we are saying brown glass and yellow glass are one and the same glass, because they are not really brown. At no point did it become brown. At no point did it become yellow. At no point did pure consciousness become God. At no point did pure consciousness ever become you. Today I was reading Major Chadwick, this Englishman who was very close to Ramana Maharshi. He writes that at one point people started saying that I am a sage. People there in the local Tamil people. Look how he meditates. Look what a glow there is on his face. He's literally become an illumined person. And he said that I didn't feel that way at all. And I knew that it was working. I was progressing, but I didn't feel that I was at all illumined or become particularly spiritual. So he said, I rushed to Ramana Maharshi, and he was alone. And I asked him, I said, look, I feel unhappy. There are so many people saying wonderful things about me, but none of it is really true. I mean, I am not really spiritually all that advanced. And Ramana Maharshi smiled at him and said, Chadwick, who is saying all this? And he said, I was stunned into silence. I went into a kind of absolute quietness. And then a few days later, there was one luxury which he permitted himself, being a British officer. He had his bathtub, which he couldn't give up. So a bathtub was there outside his cottage, which he would fill up with water and take a bath there. So he was taking a bath, and very much like Archimedes, and he had his eureka moment. And he jumped out of the bathtub and put a towel around his waist and rushed to Ramana Maharshi, ran all the way. And it's like a breakthrough he had. Luckily, again, Ramana Maharshi was sitting alone. And so he rushed in and he said, I am. And that's it. Is this it? And Ramana Maharshi smiled and he said, yes, Chadwick, that is it. As simple as that, I am. And then Major Chadwick says, that breakthrough that never went away, that shining awareness that I am, that being, and all my problems were solved forever effortlessly. That I am, colored by Maya, appears as Tat, God. Colored by ignorance and a mind and a body, appears as thou, you. But at no point is there any coloring really. Colored is just a way of speaking. I am, pure consciousness remains as I am. So this is what is being said here. Just one more point quickly and mention. Technically, philosophically, again and again we say it is beyond words and beyond conception. And that's why implied meaning has to be taken. Why is it beyond words and conception? If it really worked, if the sentence, a direct meaning would be possible, if it was something expressible by language, then you wouldn't have to take an implied meaning. You could just say, you are that. Like you say, you are Sarvapriyananda. It makes sense. But then Sarvapriyananda, what you mean by Sarvapriyananda is an object. Here, it's appearing to you, this person. So anything that you say, you are that, if you mean a direct meaning, it would be an object. It would not be the pure consciousness. Pure consciousness can never be objectified by language. It is not an entity within the world. It's not that there is a world, there is God, there is you, and there's one more entity called pure consciousness. No, no, no. Language works only within this world. I mean, Wittgenstein put it as so well. In the Tractatus, he says the limits of language are the limits of the world. Limits of language are the limits of the world. Therefore, it follows language actually cannot direct meaning of any word cannot express pure consciousness. And therefore, all this exercise of finding out an implied meaning. Either you abandon, no, language cannot at all work, or you find out an indirect way. One of the indirect ways is implied meaning, is the exercise which we went through. There are other ways. There is, negation, not this, not this. That's another way language can help you to realize. There is another way. There are, contradicted, like very cool Zen type of stories which short circuit your intellect into making the breakthrough. So there are different ways in language can help, but none of them are the direct use of language, that way language works in the world. That way you cannot indicate that ultimate reality. Yeah, so that's why implied meaning had to be gone through. That's it. This is the meaning of Tat Twam Asi. Tat, let me put it in technical language, and I'll stop. Tat, what is Tat and what is Twam? Tat is Maya Upahita Chaitanyam, consciousness limited by Maya. Tvam is Ajnana Upahita Chaitanyam, consciousness limited by ignorance. Maya, Ajnana, they are all appearances. You can safely ignore them and say consciousness alone is the reality, and therefore that thou art. Tat Twam Asi. Okay. Will has many implications. It's a vast thing which we have done today. We will explore it next time. Let me quickly look at the comments in the comment box. Praveer Babu is saying, is God and Jiva like gold and ornaments, wave and water, or wood and table? No. God and Jiva is like not wave and ornaments, like ocean and not like wave and water, like ocean and wave. Waves are like individual jivas, and all the waves taken together is the ocean. That's like God. God is the totality, we are the individuality. But what is beyond wave and beyond ocean and beyond both wave and ocean? Water. Notice the difference between wave, ocean, and water. The entire ocean depends on the reality called water. Without water, why is water the reality and not wave and ocean? Because without water, could a wave exist? But can water exist without a wave? Certainly. It could be a waveless water, it could be water vapor, it could be a glass of water, it could be somewhere else. It could be without a wave completely. But a wave entirely depends on water. There's nothing that a wave is or can do without the water, which constitutes its reality. Exactly like that. The ocean is infinitely vaster than a wave, and it includes the wave also. And yet, the ocean is nothing without water. The moment you take water away, the ocean disappears also. The ocean is God, the wave is the individual, but the reality through and through, they are nothing but water. And remember one little thing about these examples, they play in our subconscious. When you say, oh, so I am a wave and God is the ocean, but what that thou art is saying that both are water. But you know what will niggle in the back of your mind? Yeah, but the wave has less water and the ocean has lots of water. So I guess I am water, but a less water, and God is a lot of water. No, at that level, no less water, no more water. You and God are, both of you are nothing but pure consciousness. Not that God is a lots more pure consciousness and you're a little bit of pure consciousness. No, exactly the same. I mean, if I can misuse language, I'll say you are all of it. You, the individual, are all of it. Each of us is all of it. There's no all or part there. I was just reading today in America, in Los Angeles, I think, after one of the talks in Swami Vivekananda, somebody stood up and asked, so Swami, are you saying that all is good? And Swamiji said, no, I am saying that all is God and nothing else. Oh, I think I'm saying that God only is and all is not. There is only one reality. It's not that there is somehow this universe and then we find something which unites the universe. It's a nice feeling. That's Vishishta Advaita. Advaita Vedanta says this universe is an appearance. It's not like in a movie hall, in a movie. It's not like there are heroes and villains and monsters and dragons and stuff like that and a screen. No, when you talk about the screen, there are no villains and heroes, monsters and dragons. It's just the screen, which appears in all those diverse ways. Okay. Take the snake rope example. Somebody comes and mistakes the rope for, somebody sees a snake there, somebody sees a discarded garland by mistake. Somebody sees a crack in the earth. These are classic examples in old texts. Bhuchidra Pushpamala Sarpa. Now a wise man comes and says, The snake is the same as the garland, flower garland. How can a snake and a flower garland be same? They are same because the snake is not a snake, it's a rope. The flower garland is not a flower garland, it's that same rope. You've made mistakes about it. But we can't tell you it's a rope because neither of you see a rope. You are seeing a snake, you are seeing a flower garland. We have to tell you that they are the same. When you investigate it, you will find neither a snake nor a flower garland, you will find a rope. You find neither God, not the individual, you find the absolute Brahman. And you are that, actually. That's the implied meaning. Michael Bird says, if I already understand that I am Nirguna Brahman, what is the point of the faith-based remote concept of Saguna Brahman that doesn't actually exist? Be careful. When you say that doesn't actually exist, if you are Nirguna Brahman, from that perspective, no problem. You are free. But as long as you exist, as you continue to appear in this limited form as an individual, you will be regarded as a Jivan Mukta, a free while living. And yet the world appearance continues for you as long as this body continues. If you appear as an individual being and you see other beings, then God is equally real for you, to that extent that your individual appearance and the world appearance is real. You can't say that that remote God-like thing, so God of religion is to be dismissed. But my individuality continues very nicely. One Swami put it very beautifully in Belur Math. When we are new enthusiasts about non-dualism, he says that devotion is to be applied to God and knowledge to oneself. But you fools, he meant these novices, these fools, they apply knowledge to God and devotion to oneself. Knowledge to God means I have studied Advaita Vedanta. Now I know this remote is an appearance. It's a movie. God is not real. What about me? My food and my rest and my health and and the little mosquito bothering me, they are all very real. If they are real, God is equally real. You haven't come to the screen, the movie screen yet. You're still very much within the movie. So one has to be careful. And even after enlightenment, even if you're very clear, I've not only understood, it's a living truth for me. I am the impersonal absolute in which the world is an appearance. There also, as long as you live and act like an individual being, either remain immersed as that one existence consciousness bliss, or that I should continue as I am the devotee of the Lord, knowing full well that the absolute is the reality. Sri Ramakrishna says, after enlightenment also, the ego will pop up. Not a real ego, but still, like a character in a movie. Now that has to be handled. It will not give trouble, but you can handle in two ways. You can say, the ego in the movie can say now, I know this is a movie, so I know I am nothing but the screen. That's perfectly all right. It's still the I of the movie character saying that. Or it can say, I am the servant of the Lord. That I, Sri Ramakrishna says also, the devotee's I or the jnani's I. He says both are perfectly all right. It's that other I which says, I am this person, which traps us in samsara. Rama says, the Mahavakya talks about the essential nature of Jivatma and Paramatma being identical. Correct. Is there an inference here in the Mahavakyam that points to Jagat Mithyatvam? Absolutely. Jagat Mithyatvam means falsity of the world. If the universe were not false, if the universe were not a movie, not a dream, you could not say that Jiva and Brahman are the same. How can you say the individual being and God are the same? That's the blasphemy that dualists accuse you of. Notice, the dualists always say the world is real. If the world is real, the difference between you and God is also real. It cannot be dismissed by an act of knowledge. You suddenly realize there's one underlying reality. No, that won't do. All you can realize is you are the creature, Lord is your Lord, you are the servant, and Lord is your master. That's the limit of it in the dualistic approach, theistic approach. This identity is entirely based on the falsity of the universe. It will not work otherwise. Prabir Basu, how does Adhyaropa Apavad apply to this analysis? Is this what we are doing? Correct. all the Adhyaropa Apavada that we did, superimposition and desuperimposition. Remember, we started with one consciousness. And now, today, we've ended up with one consciousness. That and thou means this one consciousness only, which you are feeling right now. By the method of superimposition, desuperimposition, you have realized how you can eliminate or disregard this identity with body-mind, that the body is an appearance, the mind is an appearance, the five koshas are an appearance, you are the vast, unlimited consciousness. This would not have been possible without realizing how mind and body have actually appeared in Brahman because of Maya, which is what we did in superimposition, desuperimposition, the whole process we went through. Technically, that is known as Tat Pada Shodhana, Tvam Pada Shodhana. The analysis or the clarification of the meaning of the term that, and the clarification of the meaning of the term thou. That clarification, that analysis, you must go through. Otherwise, you cannot find out the underlying identity. Regarding Swamiji's statement that God only is, a similar question was raised by Mary Hale. That I understand what you have taught. You have taught that all is God. And Swami Vivekananda said, I've never taught such strange doctrine that all is God. And she was puzzled. She said, you said it. And Swamiji said, no, what I meant was God only is, all is not. This is Advaita Vedanta. Cordelia says, if you say that consciousness art thou, would the Ajahad Lakshana not apply? That consciousness art thou, if you mean pure consciousness, you can't say it. What would you say? It can't be the meaning of a word, a direct meaning of a word. We discussed this. If language can express it directly, then it would become an object. That pure consciousness cannot be objectified. Look at what we can objectify. What kind of consciousness can be objectified? With words, with language. We can talk about, what can we talk about? You can talk about your thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, understanding, ignorance. All of that is consciousness limited by vrittis. And what you're talking about actually are the vrittis, the movements of the mind, not consciousness itself. Bare consciousness itself, pure consciousness itself can never become an object of language. Swami, you just said it, pure consciousness itself. I said it, but what does it mean? Find out what it means, you can't. It's only the implied meaning will work there. Directly, it does not point to anything. Patrick says, is the immediacy of jiva consciousness generated by the ego? Is attachment to that immediacy the main bond? No, the immediacy is because of consciousness itself. You are consciousness. You're directly experiencing it. The ego just reflects that. It's like, when you look at a mirror, yeah, this works nicely. Look at a mirror, you can see your face in the mirror. It's not an immediate experience. It's being reflected in the mirror. What is immediate? Which is the immediate face? Immediate means without mediation. Which is the immediate face? The one which you cannot see here, the real face. This is direct and immediate, but you can't see it. To see it, you need a reflector. Similarly, to actually have a vivid experience of yourself as consciousness, you need a reflector, like the ego, mind. And then you feel I, yeah. But the witness of the I, which can't be expressed by language, that's the real you. Nirjari says, do grace and a leap of faith have any place in Advaita? Yes, by the grace of God, we attain all this. We firmly believe that. Rita says, thus, apart from the statement that thou art are all predicates upadhis, in that statement that thou art, all predicates are upadhis, because that and thou are constituted of upadhis. And that upadhis have to be dismissed. Upadhis means the associates, the adjuncts. Vishwanathan says, thank you for the example with the paperweight, Swamiji. It reminds me of Hanuman's statement to Ramchandra, Deha Buddhya. Correct. Correct. Difference between Tat Twam Asi and Aham Brahmasmi. Next class. That is the topic for the next class. Yes. Charles Chow has given some comments also. Yes. All in one, one in all. So how is this consciousness aggregated? Consciousness is not aggregated. Aggregates are possible in matter, in mind. Aggregates are possible. Remember, where did the concept of aggregate first come in? Part and whole, when Maya is introduced. Before Maya, only consciousness, Satchidananda. There are no parts. So there is no question of you being all of consciousness or a part of consciousness. There is no part and whole there. Part and whole comes only at the level of Maya, at the level of the mind, at the level of the body and the universe. During the lesson today, Maharajji and us are one, yet each is separate from the other. So this lesson was godliness in action. Yes, that is true. Godliness in action is the next step. How is this manifested as a play? How does the one screen appear as the diverse characters in the movie? And they interact with each other. They play with each other, fight with each other. The Ashtavakra says, Mai ananta mahambodo ashcharyam jiva vichaya udyanti gnanti khelanti pravishanti swabhavata. In me, the infinite ocean of awareness, how strange and wonderful are these sentient beings. They arise, they play with each other, they fight with each other, and they disappear back into me again. That is what is being mentioned here, pointed out here. All right, we've gone well over time. I am Brahman. That's the one next time. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.